When someplace is your house, it's one thing, but when something becomes your home, it actually becomes something that you look at differently. I'm Dr. Richard Helfer. I'm the founding president of the Emerald Hill Conservation Association, which is actually the association that represents the owners of the Emerald Hill estate. So we're the only place in Singapore that there's an association for a group of landed properties. And what we're really here to do is to protect the sense of neighborhood and take the neighborhood of Emerald Hill, and even though you live in Emerald Hill in 2025, that you still feel the kind of neighborhood that was started back here. So when Sir Stamford Raffles arrived, this particular area of Singapore was jungle. Then in the 1830s is when nutmeg was introduced. There were 20 plantations in the Emerald Hill. They had a developer came in 1923-24, named by the guy Lau Kun Yi, and he built a total of 32 houses in Emerald Hill. Number 59 was also built by the same architect.
This is actually a very affluent neighborhood. So you get to see interesting, very eclectic mix of architectural elements on the facades. The community, I guess, is quite closely knit and we value how presentable is the sense of place. We were quite amazed that despite almost 90 years after it was built, so much of its interiors were still intact. There weren't a lot of staining damages. You'll find in other houses of this age. You still need to actually sensitively restore the interiors because they have just 90-year-old material.
All of the shop houses that were built there were built toward that time into the early 1900s. And these drawings for shop houses in Singapore did not come from the British way. They came mainly from China because they were already building houses that were similar to that. A lot of people say, well, it's European because it was a British colony. I tend to believe it was European because as people learned about other things, well, this was some of the design books they had and things they saw. The earlier ones, you see columns, but you see the tops of the columns are quite simple. When you get to the ones that are more detailed, you see Corinthian columns and things. And there's some British influence there, but there's also influence to the families that lived here. They were traveling more, they were becoming more worldly, and so they added in attributes of things they saw and they wanted to incorporate.
There are also large window openings called French windows, but the French windows were essentially full door height windows on the second story. Natural daylight and ventilation is very important for the comfort of the inhabitants. The lion heads gives the owners protection, gives the house protection. That was the beliefs of the owners in the past. On the ground floor, you tend to see a lot of features such as wall tiles, colored tile dado. Some of them are decorative. Some of these are imported from Europe, countries like Belgium. It may also be imported from Japan, like in the case of the 59. This kind of fabrication actually takes a lot of skill because it's almost like an artist. The timber partitions were one of the more remarkable finds actually. It came with all their original fittings such as the planks, the lattices on top.
We need to remove the paint for the original timber feature like timber window, timber doors. Actually all the timber window and door is historic, about maybe 100 years old. You cannot find in this Singapore or any other market now.
Having a very geometrically, I would say, complex design shows that the owners could afford the skilled craftsperson to create them in the past. It also gives you an idea how people in the past, what they value, and what their concerns are, and whether they are less bothered by people overhearing conversations.
I've lived in Emerald Hill now since 1990s. We'd like to believe, and I'm talking from the association here, that people buy here because they want to live in Emerald Hill. Conservation doesn't usually start, by the people in the community. It's usually started by someone who comes in from overseas and recognizes how beautiful something is. And then they get going. And that's happened here. The Chinese Girls' School at number 37, Emerald Hill Road, had opened here in 1926. We of us who lived here in Emerald Hill, we love the Chinese Girls' School. What they did is that they used to do races in the street. They used to do scavenger hunts. When we would help them scavenger hunt, they had their baking classes, and the girls would bring us cookies. And I used to come back from work at night, and I'd walk up from Orchard Road, and you didn't hear, now you hear air conditioning units. What you would hear there would be the clicking of mahjong tiles. So what is special about it is a home. It isn't a commercial property, which I'm about. It isn't somebody else's house. It's mine on that. And the neighborhood is special, not just to me, but to people who live here or buy here, because we want to make them feel like it's their home too.